How do you properly shift an early Ford V8 transmission? Well, one viewer was asking me that very question just the other day, and next I'll show you the shift pattern these cars have, as well as how I change gears without breaking anything. It's easy. Hello and welcome to AutoEsoterica. I am Craig Cole. If this is your first visit, thanks so much for stopping by. We do appreciate you. Anyway, yes, this is my 1936 Ford V8 sedan. It is a four-door model, standard trim with no external trunk for better or worse. But anyway, shifting gears. Here's what you need to know, and let's start with the basics. Whoops, I was supposed to exit screen right. I'm sorry, I always get confused by that. Not in the shot, am I? Inside, of course, we have a very long shift lever that controls a conventional 3-speed manual transmission. As for the pedals, the clutch is on the left, the brake is in the center, and the accelerator is on the far right. Pretty standard stuff, but not everything is as it initially seems. Alrighty, now that I'm in the driver's seat and behind the steering wheel, let's go over the shift pattern these old Fords have. And believe it or not, it's actually a dog leg. So what that means is reverse is actually toward you and forward, and then first gear is opposite that to the back. Then we go up and over to second, and then third is opposite down from second gear. Neutral, of course, is in the center as you would expect, though note the lever is not spring-loaded to stay in the middle, it just kind of flops around. So why is there a dogleg pattern? Well, first and reverse gear both share a sliding gear between them, and then of course second and third, or intermediate and high in old school parlance, utilize the same synchronizer assembly. So that's why you have 1, 2, and 3, opposed to 1, 2, 3 like you might expect, and a shift pattern that of course would make a lot more sense because in high gear it puts the lever forward and out of the way. As it is right now, if you've got a third passenger sitting here in the middle, they've got a shift knob jammed into their belly, and that's probably not going to be very comfortable. I mean, definitely don't slam on the brakes or hit anything. All right, with an overview of the shift pattern out of the way, let's go over some important instructions and then take this car for a spin where I'll show you how I shift without any problems. So driving, you're going to take off in first gear just like you would with any other manual transmission. Clutch in, grab first, a little dab of gas, ease off the clutch. Now the vehicle is moving and you are on your great V8 adventure. But now we've got to shift into second gear. The 1 to 2 change is the most difficult because of that little stair step you have to do. So my number one tip to anyone driving one of these cars is take your time and be gentle. I highly recommend you keep a loose hand and arm. You do not want to have a white-knuckle death grip on the knob. You're not trying to crush a stone. Keep your arm and your hand nice and loose so you can complete those shifts very smoothly and easily. Now, another thing I do aside from keeping a loose grip, you may have noticed this just a second ago, is that I press and hold for a second or so before committing to the gear change. And the same story here going into third. Press and hold, and then down into the gear. What that does is it gives the synchronizer blocker rings a chance to do their job, to equalize those shaft speeds inside the transmission. Yes, these early Fords are synchronized between second and third, and of course third and second, but this is not a Tremec TR6060. This is not what you would find in a Dodge Challenger or a Chevy Camaro or something. You can't go jamming through the gears or you will break things. So once again, you start out in first, over and up, pausing for a second, putting it into intermediate gear, and then the same story again, dropping it down into high, through neutral, pause, and then you complete your shift just like that. When you know the trick, it's very easy, and you shouldn't have any difficulty at all. Now, unfortunately, there is no cue that the synchronizer is done synchronizing. There's no noise, you don't really feel anything up through the shift lever or shift knob. So what I do again is just press and hold about halfway for a second or so before I commit fully to the gear change. Up into second just like that, and then down into third. But now let's put all of that into practice by hitting the road. Additionally, I'll be bringing you more useful features just like this one with helpful tips and tricks, so make sure you are subscribed to the AutoEsoterica YouTube channel and make sure you hit the bell icon so you are notified when new videos are uploaded. Additionally, if you enjoyed this feature, hit the thumbs up button and consider sharing it with a friend. But anyway, let's hit the road. There we go. It's cold. Carburetors don't like cold. There we go. Alrighty, we're out on the road now, and taking off in first gear with one of these cars is exactly like it is in any other vehicle with a manual transmission. So basically, clutch in, grab first, dab of gas, feather the clutch a bit, and away we go. You know, these old cars don't have a lot of horsepower, but they've got great low-end torque, they're relatively light, and of course the gearing is favorable, so in normal everyday driving, they can be quite spunky. So anyway, we're going to accelerate a little bit here, then clutch in and press gently to grab second gear just like that. No grinding whatsoever. As always, that 1 to 2 upshift is the most challenging because of the stair step, the dog leg. But again, keep your hand and your arm loose. Be slow, be deliberate, and you shouldn't have any issues driving one of these cars. Clutch in again, pause for a second, grab third, just like that. Super easy. Like I mentioned earlier, these cars are synchronized in second and third gear, so second to third and third to second. So yes, you can downshift very easily. So I'm in third gear right now. I'm going to clutch in, rev up a little bit just to rev match the downshift so that when I let the clutch out, we're not doing this. So it's a smooth transition, but it's really just that easy to downshift. Now, you should not have to double clutch a V8 because we have the synchronizer, but if your car is older, it hasn't been restored, if it's been abused, or the transmission is shot, you may have to double clutch. It all depends on the condition of your vehicle. Now, with all of those shifting basics out of the way, there is one very important rule you guys also need to know about, and it is this. Never shift the car into first or reverse gear when it is moving. Again, never shift into first or reverse if the car is moving. Those gears share a sliding gear between them, and it is not in constant mesh. So if you try to shift into either of those ratios when the car is rolling along, it will grind. The transmission will make some pretty unsavory noises because basically you're trying to jam two gears together that are spinning at different rates, and it's just not a good idea. Now, if you know what you're doing, you've got some miles under your belt, you can bend the rules a little bit, which I will show you right here, but still I highly recommend you just completely stop before you grab either first or reverse. But here's what I mean. I'm going to clutch in, shift to neutral. Let's pretend we're rolling to a stop sign here. Rolling, 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 rolling. And now I'm going to just cheat into first like that. You heard a little bit of a ratcheting sound. That's basically those gear teeth just kissing each other. I didn't jam it into gear. I was very gentle. I was feeling that engagement point as I was pulling on the lever, so I'm not really doing any damage to anything. And I was still able to grab first relatively quickly. So again, you can cheat, but you're probably better off just coming to a stop. All right, with all of those shifting basics out of the way, I'm gonna shut up now and let you guys enjoy some sounds of the road. Like brake rods clattering against the dual exhaust. But now a quick word about synchronizers. Early V8 cars from 1939 back to 1932 used this particular design right here, which kind of looks like a donut, and it provides okay shifting, but they did come up with a much improved configuration in later years from 1940 and up. Here you can see we've got the brass surface on the inside. That's what actually does the synchronizing. And like I said, this is an okay design, but it's unfortunately unserviceable. You've got to replace the whole unit if something goes bad, which in this case did happen, because if I flip it over, you can see the brass ring is actually missing because it broke off and fell out. So if you want to fix it, you got to replace the whole unit, and they don't really make these new anymore, so you got to go find a good used one, more than likely, because you're probably not going to get a new old stock original style synchro. But the good news is, if your car is 1940 and older, or if you swap in a gear set with the later design, you get replaceable blocker rings right here. These are very nice, so if something does go wrong inside the transmission, you can very easily swap these out, and they are fairly cheap. So what these do is, I've got a main drive gear right here. This is the splined end where your clutch connects. This comes into the transmission where it spins the cluster gear, which sends torque all throughout the gearbox, just like that. But on the main drive gear here, you see this tapered section. That is where the synchro blocker ring actually does its thing. It fits on there just like that, and that is what does the synchronizing. It's the same story, of course, with the rest of the transmission. I'm going to try to hold up the main shaft here, where I've got a few of the synchro parts installed, not all of them, but a few of them, just to kind of give you an idea of what's happening. So this is the sleeve. I'll make sure that's in the middle, like that. But the main drive gear goes like that. It fits into the synchro just like so. When you go to shift into, say, second gear, the collar here is going to slide to the back. It engages the dog teeth like that, and that's what transmits torque through second gear. When you go to third or high, you're passing forward into neutral, and then it's locking the synchro to the teeth on the main drive gear, which sends torque right through the transmission, straight through, one-to-one, no reduction or multiplication or anything. So that's basically how the synchro assembly is working, inclusive of the second generation synchronizer design with the replaceable blocker rings. But regardless, whether your car has the early configuration or the late one, the rules still apply for smooth and easy shifting. Well, I hope you found this little feature helpful, or maybe even entertaining. And of course, if you did enjoy it, well, please consider subscribing to the AutoEsoterica YouTube channel so we can bring you more content just like this. Now, beyond the shifter, this 36 here is loaded to the grills, see what I did there, with clever features that I bet you didn't even know it came with. So next up, click right over here to check out a feature where I walk you through many of this car's clever engineering details. But anyway, the preceding video has been a production of Pixel Shift Media.